In July 2019, I entered the rain season in West Africa. This is part of my adventure to cycle around the world. In this video, I show you my experience in Liberia and Ivory Coast. In my previous video, I cycled in Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea and Sierra Leone, where I had a difficult time because of the rain and the high poverty, but where I also had a great ride through the jungle, and where I met many friendly locals. This is Cycle Around the World Part 7, Wet Feet in West Africa's Jungle.
I just arrived in Liberia. It's a country of free Afro-Americans back in the slavery time. Was a pretty easy border control. And now on my way to Monrovia.
That's right. In the middle of the 19th century, a large group of Afro-Americans believed to face more freedom by going back to their ancestors' continent. They went to Freetown in Sierra Leone and moved to a new place, which they later called Liberia, which is extracted from the Latin word liber, which means free. The country's national flag got obvious traces of the USA flag, and despite the increased freedom they obtained, the country didn't develop well, and now remains as one of the poorest countries in the world. The road was dangerous because it rained almost all the time, and it caused the road to be flooded in the already chaotic traffic. But luckily I was able to find shelter for a few days in the capital Monrovia, at the apartment of a Belgian expat, who was working on a dam project to generate power for the entire capital. We went to walk on the beach, which was one of the few places that wasn't full with people, and where we saw that the ocean is slowly eating the land. After a few days I continued. I had to be very careful in the traffic. Taxis often stand still and then suddenly start to drive without any sign, like here.
Whoa! So yeah, I'm in the middle of the rain season, and for a change, it's raining again. Man, I didn't know it was possible that it rained so much. It's unbelievable. It appears that Monrovia, the wettest capital in the world. I can see why.
Cycling in the rain is not that bad. It actually cooled off my body. I was only worried about my feet, because since a few weeks my sandals broke, and now I had to cycle with closed shoes and socks, which were now wet all day long. I tried to find dry shelters to sleep, mostly public schools, in the hope that my shoes and my socks would dry. The track I followed through the jungle was in a bad condition, but it also led me through a beautiful landscape, with bridges crossing wild rivers and mountains that forced me to walk uphill. It led me through a smoking forest.
This must be the muddiest road I have ever seen. Not sure if I will pass through it without falling. It's very slippery, dirty, wet. Woo! All right.
The people in the villages I stayed at were friendly as usual and often provided me with food and a bucket of water to clean myself with.
All this black stuff is all ants. There are like thousands or millions of them.
The track became worse, and so did my feet. So, since a few days I have a fungus infection on my foot. It's pretty bad, I'm not sure if you can see it. There's also some mud, but especially on my big toe, there's some red dots. It's really painful. Today I'm gonna try to cycle with these flip-flops I just bought a few days ago. They're not nice. Maybe in the next city I'm going to, there are boots. It's not ideal for cycling, but I'm willing to do anything for solving this problem. Because I still have to cycle more than 200 kilometers in the jungle, and there's gonna be a muddy road. But yeah, this is pretty fucked up. But after one more hour of cycling, I knew enough. This was too painful, and I would try to hitchhike out of the jungle. I simply underestimated the jungle, and I was underprepared. Cycling on tarmac never felt so good. My feet slowly started to heal, and I was on my way to Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast, the land of 1,000 plantations. Everywhere I looked, I saw them. Oil palms, coconut palms and rubber trees were dominating the landscape.
So this is the rubber tree. They carve something here and then there is some liquid and it's dropping into this bucket, and you can see a lot of them here. And I also see trucks passing by with loads of these things.
The many plantations caused the country to develop, which for me was most notable in the grocery stores, where there was more variety in food than the previous countries I visited. Nowadays, Ivory Coast, or Côte d'Ivoire, as the government asked the international authorities to name the country, is a relatively strong independent country. The country was once a colony of France, and got its name obviously because of the many ivory that got traded here.
Minmanle chansanti, Minmanle faisati osinyo, Aare wile, Aare akasutalo. Minmanle mioti beomija, Minmanle mi fati atulo, yewiyo. Aare akasutalo, Aare wile, Aare wile, meitratio, Aare wile, Aare wile, meitratio.
In almost a week, I cycled to Abidjan, which is not the capital, but the largest city of the country by far, with almost 5 million people. From here on, I decided to go back home for a few weeks, to see friends and family, and to do some behind-hand homework, and not least, to enjoy the luxury that I handed in. In Abidjan, I found another expat to stay at, and to store my bike and luggage for a while.
Minmanle mioti beomija, Minmanle mi fati atulo, yewiyo, Aare akasutalo, Aare wile, Aare wile, meitratio,